Welcome back to the garage. All right, I don't know if you're as excited about this video as I am, but what we are working on today is installing a second air conditioning unit on my Keystone Cougar. This is a 2020 model. This is a 25 RES with 50 amp service, so it's pre-wired for your second air conditioner. I know there's already videos out on the internet about how to install an air conditioner on a fifth wheel, but this is unique because we're going to hook this up to my in-command system. Very excited about that. You'll see more about that here in just a moment, but let's go ahead and get started with this project. I am jacked. We'll see you later. All right, so as I called out before, this Keystone Cougar has a rear living configuration. I'm not able to pull the slide out all the way just because we're still in the garage here and I can only push it out so far. But this is the rear air conditioner. It's a 15,000 BTU ducted setup with the quick cool vent here. This thing does a fantastic job keeping up here in the main living area. Don't really have to worry about things getting too warm. But up here in the front, it can get a little toasty, a little spicy. So what we're going to be doing here is putting in a second air conditioner right here where this vent is. As you can see, I've already pulled down the shroud that goes around the vent, mainly because I wanted to see if this was configured with ducts, which it is. I was very pleased about that. So we're going to be installing a ducted unit up here as well. So we'll be able to blow our air not only through the vents here in the main bedroom, but we can push that air all the way through the camper. So that's going to be really useful. This camper is also pre-wired, so I don't know the extent of that wiring. I haven't pulled this out yet, but I did confirm that the wires are here and they're hot. So I imagine this ought to be a relatively straightforward setup for most people, but for me, if you know me, you know I like to complicate things, so that's what we're going to do. So this Keystone Cougar came configured with the in-command Global Connect touchscreen inside of it, which has your HVAC, your lights, your slides, all the different things that are interesting and important to be able to control from a central location can all be controlled from this in-command tablet screen. You can also add additional tablet screens, or you can use your smartphone to get the same information, make the same changes, and configure your camper when you're not even in it, as long as it's connected to Wi-Fi. For this, I've made the decision, instead of using standard rotary controls or switches up in the front living quarters, we are going to network this air conditioner with this in-command panel. That's going to add a lot of complexity to this setup, but I think it's going to be worth it in the end. As you can see, the rear air conditioner is already set up this way. It shows your zones, your temps. As you can see, it's very cool here in Kansas, 39 in the camper right now. Hopefully we can heat that up. But you can set your fan speed, you can make it automatic, you can change a bunch of different things here. We're going to do the same thing up in the front. You can also set up schedules and all that. We probably won't monkey with that in this tutorial because it's not relevant for a lot of people. I might create a second video strictly around the in-command, but this is going to really focus more on the wiring and the different components we need to get the air conditioner just to talk to this unit. Alright, so the first thing I did whenever I was looking at trying to get the setup I needed to run this air conditioner and connect it to the in-command is I went in here and I just evaluated what's currently in the rear air conditioner. So in looking at this, I was able to capture the part numbers off of this relay control box, in addition to this what they call gateway module. These gateway modules are super cool. Apparently you can network a wide variety of different things, from ceiling fans to vent fans to air conditioner units, using these Dometic gateway modules. we're going to use the exact same configuration and wire it in the exact same way in the front air conditioner, and my hope is that these will be able to talk together and I won't have to do a whole lot of configuration. But I'm sure I'm mistaken there. I'm sure we're going to find something that we didn't know, and we'll be learning about it together. So after ordering all the parts, like I said, the next thing that we need to do is we need to go ahead and peel this vent cover off. That's a pretty straightforward procedure. On the inside, it's just 4 screws, and then you have to remove the screw for the knob that opens up the vent. Once you have that completed, you need to go around to the top side of the camper and start peeling back the sealant around the screws so that you can go ahead and remove that completely. We'll go ahead and do that next. All right, so I'm up here. I have removed, there's got to be 30 or so screws up here. Went ahead and removed all of those. Now I'm gonna start peeling back this self-leveling sealant. This DAP, or this Dicor, is really sticky stuff. Fortunately, mine is pretty pliable still. This rig's only a year old, not even a year old yet. So I think I can peel most of it back. The big thing is I want to make this surface smooth. I know the air conditioner has a gasket or a seal on the bottom of it to keep water out, but you know, it's just like the deck on a 427. If you don't have a smooth surface, I don't know how a gasket's ever going to seal. So I'm going to try to make this as smooth as possible, try to get as much of this Dicor up as I can. I've already started right here. It's a long process getting it though. The front is pretty close to peeled off. The back though, I've got a lot of work left to do here, so I'll get back with you here in a minute. Still got plenty of beer left, so I don't need to go down yet. Well, we got it off. Fun fact, there was some of that sealant all along the bottom of this thing, so it was almost, I mean, it was a big chore to get this thing off. A lot of work, but I got it. Peeled off a lot of that stuff. A couple things I noticed here. We're gonna need to obviously make some sealing, or we need to do some sealing. First of all these holes are gonna have to be filled in. And then secondly, I noticed a number of places where my roof membrane, whether I did it or it was already like that, is ripped here. So I'm gonna have to seal all this in again. Even one right there. I don't know if it's easy to see, but you can kind of see where it poked through. I didn't use really anything sharp, so I don't know how I would have done it. Maybe it just happened, but either way, I think it's a pretty easy fix. We'll just Dicor this. We'll put some self-leveling sealant all along here, along these surfaces. Let it dry for a couple days, and then we should be good to go to put on the new unit. I'm also not sure. I need to measure on the air conditioner itself. I don't know where the gasket surface is. I hope that the gasket surface is kind of a couple inches outside of this square, but I have a feeling that the gasket surface is going to be right there. So I'll go look in my back unit, see if I can tell, but I think that is it for being on the roof for now. Next time you'll see me, I'll probably be sealing these holes up, and we'll probably do that after work one day this week, so it has plenty of time to dry before the weekend. All right, so the next thing you got to do, you got to get the AC unit on the roof. Haven't figured out how to do this yet, because in typical project fashion here at my house, I'm doing this all by myself. So I've got to get this unit on top of the fifth wheel. Not quite sure how we're going to do that yet, but I'm going to start looking some things over. I thought about using some ratchet straps and making it real tight, and then using that as almost like a handle and just pulling it up my ladder there, but not sure yet. So I'll get back to you here in a minute after I figure out how to get this up there. All right, so just like I described, used some ratchet straps, made some handles. basically just walked it up the ladder. I'm using a 28-foot extension ladder from the ground. I pulled it up and basically set it right here, rolled it over, and took the straps off, threw them down there. Now we can prep the hole, kind of position the box so that the cardboard will protect the roof membrane as I'm kind of working it into position, and then I'll slide the box out from behind it. I'm also using some of Heather's blankets from inside the camper to protect the membrane and the edge of the RV here, since the ladder is resting on the edge. Just don't tell Heather. Alright, so like I was saying before, we wanted to prep this hole, get it smooth so that the gasket on the bottom of the air conditioner has a nice place to sit. Nice and smooth, won't let water in. If you don't have this stuff, I'd highly recommend getting some Eternabond. This tape is a lifesaver. It's great for repairing roof membranes if something were to happen. I mean, it's really just kind of a just-in-case deal, but I figured it would work absolutely perfect for making a nice seal here. Nice, clean, flat surface for that gasket to sit on. No water is going to get underneath that Eternabond tape. Once it goes on, it doesn't come off. So I think now we'll go ahead and put some foil tape over the edges here, and we'll get ready to set the air conditioner on the trailer. All right, we got the hole prepped. We got some foil insulation tape going around the edges here. We'll do more on the inside. I was just getting the top surface done, but now I'm going to go ahead and move this over the hole, get it kind of halfway positioned, and then I think the rest of the work will be done from below. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, and so we got it mounted over the hole. It looks fairly well centered. We won't know for sure until we go ahead and put the lower plate on, but it is on now and appears to be about where it needs to be. All right, so I've gone ahead and pulled all the wires out of here, and I pulled this top cover off of this, exposing the hot, neutral, and ground wires here. Since my fascia here, or this air distribution box, doesn't necessarily cover this hole, I'm gonna have to reuse this box and somehow get the wires from right here to in here. So what I decided to do was drill a small hole. I used a 1-inch hole saw and cut out a section of this support brace and fed the wires through there. That'll make it so that there's no wires exposed here, and it'll look real nice and factory from there. So I'm gonna have to shut off the power to the camper now, so I won't have any light. But I will, once I get these wires routed, turn everything back on so you can see kind of what's going on here. Shortly after we get these wires kind of figured out or positioned, we'll also need to go ahead and go through the process of getting this thing anchored down and finish off putting in the installation here. So I'll get back with you here in just a moment, and we're going to get to the wiring. Okay, we're here in the room again. We've run that power wire through the hole that we bogged into the frame there, and then we pulled this Romex wire through and went ahead and connected it to the relay control box. There's only 3 wires on the inside of the relay control box. A green, which is obviously ground, black and white, so you got your hot and your neutral. So we've gone ahead and attached those wires. I'm going to put this lid back on this box now and get these wires so they're not exposed anymore. But I think before I do that, I'll go ahead and wrap this in electrical tape just to make sure there's no chance of it contacting another wire in there. So these boxes are kind of tight, you're cramming stuff in there, so we'll get that all safe and secured. But I wanted to show a picture of this before we got it all tucked in. All right, now that we have the lights back on, we've hooked up the 12-volt power again. I don't have the 110 hooked up yet, but I just want to walk through this wiring to give a little better detail about what we've done here. So, like I said before, we split the green wire and we connected our 12 volts positive from supply. And then we got our white wire, we split it, and we put in our two negative wires here. One of them goes to the relay control box, one of them goes to the gateway. From there, we hooked up our thermostat wire to our relay control from our gateway module. If you were not using a gateway, this would go to your thermostat. And we hooked up our green wire from our relay control box into the orange wire on our gateway module. From there, we changed our dip switch on the back of the gateway to the 1 setting for on, and then we connected our network cable from the rear air conditioner to this front air conditioner, and that's this wire right here. We took the jumper out of the rear air conditioner, this one, and we plugged in the network cable from the front to the rear. If you had a third air conditioner, you would put this jumper on the third air conditioner relay control box, and you would connect a network cable here. So that's how this is all wired up. We then got our main cable from the air conditioner itself, plugged it into the relay control box, and that is pretty much all we've done here. So now that everything looks good, in my mind at least, I'm gonna go turn on the main power supply, and we're just gonna see if this fan turns on. I don't have enough power to actually turn the air conditioner on, but if the fan turns on and I can control it from the in-command system, I will say we were successful. All right, power is hooked up. Let's see if we were successful. So we've got our rear air. Let's make sure the fan works on that. I can hear it blowing. I can feel it blowing. So let's turn that off. Okay. That fan shut off, so let's switch over to the front air conditioner. It's showing up here. Mode, fan. Oh yeah. She's a ripper, boys. All right, that is configured. So now we just got to make it look pretty. All right, I took a little break to do a little cleanup. I will say, if you're doing this project yourself, I would recommend removing the bed from your front living room or whatever, wherever you're putting this air conditioner. So much stuff has fallen down, sawdust and everything else. I probably should have pulled all the sheets and everything off of this, but I figured this was easier to wash than the comforter, and so I vacuumed it all and got it kind of cleaned back up. But I would say that's my biggest recommendation if you're going to do this project yourself. Make sure you maybe lay down a tarp or something to catch everything, because it made a heck of a mess out of Heather's bed, and when she finds out, she's going to kill me. So anyway, moving right along here, we have mounted the bottom plate in here, and I've gone ahead and put in our screws that mount to the bottom of the air conditioner, and I've gone ahead and torqued those down. The recommendation is 20 inch-pounds of torque. I don't have an inch-pound wrench here, or at all. Foot-pounds is all I have, and I didn't know how I would make that work, because I think the minimum on that is 8 foot-pounds. So another recommendation that I read online is you can just crank this thing down where this gasket gets to be about a 1/2 inch tall. and so that's what I've done all the way around. I torqued it down to about a 1/2 inch, maybe a little more than that in some areas, but I feel like it's in there pretty good. I've also put in this mid divider here and some of the insulation that comes with it. So now we're going to go ahead and dress up these wires. Went ahead and wrapped them all with electrical tape, again just for extra security. We're going to mount this box now after we tie up some of these wires, but we also need to install the freeze sensor, which will plug into the relay control box on the other side here. So I'm going to go grab that and we'll get that mounted up in there. I'm just going to mount it in about the same location as the rear air conditioner. It seems to work good there. Alright, so you can kind of see where we just bogged that temp sensor, or that freeze sensor, right into the fins there. That's pretty much all you do. You just jam it in there. Then I've gone ahead and dressed up the wires, kind of loomed them all up. Went ahead and mounted the box with the provided screws that came with it. So now we'll install the fascia, and we're pretty much done with this project, guys. Alright, so we're running here. Just something to note. I went ahead and put the fascia on. It's super easy. It's 4 screws. It's no big deal. I didn't video that because it's just so easy. But I went ahead and turned this on high on just fan, and I turned my rear air on high on fan. And when I did that, sawdust blew all over the camper from the vents. So I suspect that when this camper was built, you know, these are probably typically full of sawdust, and then whenever they first turn on the air, it blows most of that out. But since we didn't have a front air unit, I think what it did is it over time blew all that sawdust up here into the front living quarters. And then as soon as I put this on high, it started blowing it back, and it just dumped a whole bunch of sawdust kind of all over the place. You can see it on the floors. You can really see it here on the steps if you look. But so I'm gonna go ahead and shut these fans off, but I will say one thing to note. I'm just blown away at the amount of volume that's coming out of these vents now. I mean, that was one thing I always kind of noticed. There just wasn't a ton of volume, especially up here in the front. But now it's, I mean, it's like having a serious fan blowing constantly. I think this is going to be absolutely fantastic. Oh yeah, that's unbelievable. This is going to be great. Now I cannot wait for summer to come. We've got the rear air. We'll turn that one on. Oh, that's the front. We'll turn that off. We'll turn that off. So now I've got the monumental task of cleaning up all this stuff, but that is the project. And thanks for everybody that sat and watched the whole thing. You know, obviously this was very, very much a Cougar or Keystone specific project, since we did have a lot to do with the in command. But as far as mounting the air conditioner goes and doing some of those tasks, I think those kind of apply across the board to a number of different manufacturers. If you have any questions around what parts I used, I'm happy to share that. If I think about it, I may put it in the description, but I had to do a lot of research to get the things I got. Fortunately, nothing was wrong. Everything I bought worked. Everything that I ordered was right, so I feel very happy about that. But now I'm going to clean this camper up and move on to the next project.